When it comes to the conversation for worst division in football, the NFC East, commonly referred as the NFC least. Usually this one battling it out with the AFC South for that distinguished title. Now, though it has to be said, the NFC East did send a couple teams to the playoffs last year. We're not going to bring up the fact, of course, the league expanding its playoff format. Jason La Canfora put together his divisional power rankings on CBSSports.com. Here's a look at the cellar dwellers. And yes, the aforementioned NFC East and AFC South are there where we thought they would be. NFC North does get some honorable mention, but congrats again to the NFC East. Jason, slightly more bullish, if we can call it that, on the AFC South, which featured the top-seeded Titans last season. All right, let's wake up with Jason this morning to go over that list. We'll work our way up to number 1. Again, those divisional power rankings. And we'll start with number 5, the NFC South for you.
Yeah, I mean, look, when you kind of get to the middle of this list, you're kind of trying to feel out, is there a super team in this mix, someone who you think could win a Super Bowl? And then is there a second team that you would really bank on as a more likely than not playoff team? And I think Miami has a chance to get in the playoffs, but I don't know that I would, fancy them more likely than not. And obviously, this division, the AFC East, has a power team, and the Buffalo Bills, who I don't know too many people in football who would look at their roster. Oh, sorry, NFC South. I'm sorry, mixed my own list up. The NFC South has a super team in Tampa. They have a team in New Orleans that I think, if everything goes well, Dennis Allen kind of sheds his Raiders coaching skin, and you have a situation where Jameis Winston comes back and plays most of their games at quarterback, if not close to all, then I think you have a couple of teams there who are worth talking about. But Carolina, Atlanta, I don't see anything happening there. 2 of the worst quarterback situations in the NFL. And Tampa, their age does scare me a little bit. Bruce Arians stepping aside, the timing of that. Do they send Tom Brady out with a bang? I'm not so sure, but they play a tough schedule. But obviously, Tampa's a team to be reckoned with.
All right, so we're looking at the odds, by the way. That's all right. We'll get to the AFC East, which you alluded to. Again, Buffalo, we know, betting favorite among many in terms of the market, the futures. You referenced Miami. Of course, New England made the postseason last year. AFC East coming in at number 4.
Yeah, and if I'm looking at this division from a betting standpoint, I mean, again, as we know Buffalo, there's not a lot of money there to be made in terms of them being one of the best teams in the league, making the Super Bowl, all that, right? They're pretty chalky. I do think, though, Miami to make the playoffs is something to keep in mind if you have a few extra dollars in your pocket. I don't think it's out of the question. If they're able to play the kind of ball control football that the San Francisco 49ers played, and right, we're looking at another branch off that Kyle Shanahan coaching tree, and Mike McDaniel, who handled all the run game stuff there, and they put a track team around Tua. I think Miami has a chance to be an interesting team and to be a playoff team. And I would be fading the Patriots right now. I think they're still valued a little higher than they should be based on what they accomplished with Tom Brady. But I don't like this offseason. I don't like the fact that they're being cute about who's going to call plays on offense. I don't like Mac Jones losing Josh McDaniels.
It's interesting. If they indeed have overachieved or regressed, there are a lot of primetime games that we're going to see that play out there on national TV.
Yeah, 5 in a row.
That's right, during the season. This one is where things get kind of interesting, Jason, maybe surprising to some, certainly for myself. The NFC West, only division to get 3 teams into the playoffs, at number 3 there for you.
Yeah, look, I feel very strongly about the Rams. I don't know how you wouldn't, right? Year 1 of Stafford and McVay was all you could have asked for. And that's an owner who's fully pot committed, if you will. They're going to extend Aaron Donald, and when players become available in season, they will continue to prove to you that the salary cap is malleable and cash rules cap. And I expect them to continue to add to try to fortify for what they believe will be a back-to-back season. Look, the Cardinals have shown they have enough talent and enough individual flair to get to 9-10 wins, which is probably enough in the NFC, right? The NFC not nearly as deep as the AFC. The 49ers, for me, are the real wild card here. I'm going to buy, for the most part, Kyle Shanahan's ability to get things going with Trey Lance. However, I would say if you look at Shanahan's career record in tabbing quarterbacks, it has been far from pristine. But because of the way they can run the ball, that tried and true system, some of the talent they have on defense, I slot them here. Is there more than one team in that division who I think everything falls into place and they're hoisting a Lombardi? Probably not. But with the fact that you can make a pretty legitimate argument for three of those teams to at least get in the playoffs where anything's possible, with the Rams being the one true Super Bowl contender right now, in my estimation, that lands them here.
All right, and losing Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos certainly hurts the division as a whole, but still top heavy there news in that one. All right, so here we go. Two more rankings left to go, both AFC divisions, and you were going with the AFC North at number 2 here.
Yeah, I mean, look, you look at the history of the Baltimore Ravens, the Pittsburgh Steelers, they're always in the mix. Now, Mike Tomlin's never had a losing season, and the Ravens were 8-3, the number 1 seed in that loaded AFC, before they lost 6 in a row with an injury to Lamar Jackson on top of all their other injuries, really having a lot to do with that. You look at what they've done in the draft. They don't have any pass rushers, any proven pass rushers on that roster, but they have overflowing with options in the secondary, and they're going to change their spots and not blitz as much with Wink Martindale now in New York. So those are two very solid franchises that are always in the mix, and we saw what the Bengals did last year. And some might say it's a little fluky, no injuries, this and that, but it's also a very young team that is going to continue to grow as a unit. I wouldn't look at them as a one-off or anything like that. I think that's a playoff team. Joe Burrow, when he's healthy, plays in big games. That's just proven. And the Browns, look, I mean, we don't know the situation with Deshaun Watson, how many games he's going to miss, how they'll play with Jacoby Brissett, and maybe they just brown it up. But again, this is a division where you could talk about all 4 teams without it being a huge stretch as being a potential playoff team. I don't think all 4 will get in, but that's why they land here. I think they have a couple that could have Super Bowl chops, and I think they have 4 where, again, you could create a not too remote scenario script where that team is in the postseason.
All right, so everything you talked about the AFC North sounds really good. And, of course, the consensus is the AFC West, which everyone thinks is great. The offseason, the arms race, the additions, everything there.
Yeah.
Biggest storylines and questions for you for this mega division coming into the year?
Yeah, I mean, the Kansas City Chiefs have lost a couple of key pieces there, right? In Tyrann Mathieu and Tyreek Hill. And they're playing a really tough schedule. And it's hard, man. I know we think of it as their birthright, like, oh, well, they'll just be in the AFC Championship game. But, man, that's a hard road to hoe. They've played a lot of extra football the last few years, and maybe they aren't quite as deep. So I think they could be a little bit vulnerable. The Chargers obviously loaded up this offseason. They put weapons. They kept weapons around Herbert. They added weapons for Herbert. They beefed up the offensive line. A couple of key pieces on defense as well. The Broncos were I'd say in the hunt in December last year without a quarterback, right? They went from not having a quarterback to having, in my estimation, one of the 6 best on the planet. And the Raiders might have the best group of offensive weapons in football. And while I don't love the totality of their defense, you could sell me on their edge rushers wreaking havoc and closing some games out where they win 38-35 because Chandler Jones or Matt Crosby lands on the other team's quarterback with 3 minutes left and the ball comes loose. So I think they have enough to be viable. It wouldn't shock me if the Raiders, frankly, were a team you could make some money on in getting to the playoffs. I like those numbers. And look, the Deshaun Watson thing is probably something to do with where these divisions are stacked, right? 8 games, 6 games, we don't know. So I give the nod to the AFC West.
All right, Jason La Canfora with that. His power rankings you can catch on CBSSports.com. Jason, certainly appreciate it. Reminder about our daily NFL podcast, the Pick 6 Pod with host Will Brinson and the Super Friends Ryan Wilson and John Breach.
Do you want a sports network that delivers everything that matters about the game? The highlights, the picks, the instant analysis, no yelling, no fake debates, no politics. Hit the subscribe button and never miss a moment.